Welcome to Block Party. I'm your host, Mike Wahle. Thank you for listening. Hit that subscribe button, rate and review us on youtube.com/process to perform. You can check me out at Mike Wahle68 on Twitter, process to perform on Instagram, Mike Wahle68 on TikTok as well. So today we got NFC Championship coming up, AFC Championship as well, but we're an NFC team. So think about the Packers right now. I want to kind of dive in and see. I want to talk about the running game. And when you talk about the San Francisco 49ers and you talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, what are they doing, I guess, that we're not as Packers fans, as a Packers community? And, I kind of looked at a couple different things. We're going to really talk about, I think, scheme and how we're utilizing our personnel, but you got to really start with personnel. If you look at the San Francisco 49ers, I think across the board, obviously Trent Williams at left tackle, he's the best in the business. Bakhtiari, when he's healthy, is one of the best, has been considered a first-team All-Pro during his career. So I'm not going to say they're even right now just because Trent's been healthy. But you look at the rest of their offensive line: Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Buford, and then Michael Ginchey was a first-round draft pick from Notre Dame. But I don't know that he's a world beater necessarily compared to the Green Bay Packers. They're certainly more accomplished. I don't know if for man across the board, if you're kind of picking one player over another, like Elgin Jenkins and Michael Glinski, for me are comparable players as far as what you would get for draft value or trade value. What stands out, I think, with the San Francisco 49ers is, and what we kind of have to look at when we look at this tape, is they have, you look at our tight ends, and they have George Kittle. You look at our second tight end, because we don't have a fullback, and they have Kyle Juszczyk. They have Deebo Samuel. Obviously, we have Aaron Jones and AJ, but they do have CMC. They do have Deebo Samuel. That's a big deal. And then, obviously, Brandon Ayuk. We have Christian Watson, who's a young and emerging player, but Brandon Ayuk is a guy that can kind of do it all. And when I say do it all, I think the difference between right now, if you look at this tape and you consider what we ask each individual to do. Christian Watson, for example, the biggest running play of the year, and a handful of big running plays, explosive running plays for this team. In fact, of the 29 running plays that we had that were 15 yards or more, I think 2 or 3 of them are on end arounds for Christian Watson, including the biggest play of the year. So he has that capability. Is he going to be able to block like Alan Lazard has the blocking capability? But I think when you look at San Francisco 49ers, they're like putting together the peanut butter and the graham cracker, right? Like they can do it all. All those guys, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Juszczyk, they can all kind of mix and match and do different things. They can run power and counter with Juszczyk and Kittle. They can run it with the tackle and the guard. They can run it with the guard and Juszczyk. They can run it with Deebo Samuel leading the way across or CMC going across the field, and then just running a gap play, taking that defensive end out of the play, really, with the motion of their running back. And so they put those guys in advantageous positions to win. Now you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, and you think of their offensive line. And honestly, across the board, I'm not going to say Jordan Mailata is at David Bakhtiari's level right now, but everybody else, you look at Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey, Isaac Seumalo, and then Lane Johnson, all first-team All-Pro this year. Like, they are the best offensive line in the business, period. Period, point blank, best offensive line in the business. They got a great thing going. Great, very, very well coached by Jeff Stoutland. They also have Dallas Goedert. He is a big-time tight end. He can do it all. He's one of the best athletes on the team. They have Miles Sanders. He's at the very least, he's comparable to Aaron Jones. And then they have A.J. Brown. They have Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins. Maybe most importantly, they have a guy in Jalen Hurts. They can run a very specific offense. So they're not necessarily doing some of the motion stuff using Goddard or using like a backup tight end, although they do use Jack Stoll and they even use Calcaterra at times, and they'll run 12 and 13 personnel. But as opposed to using Kittle and Juszczyk as really special weapons that can really mess with the second level defenders. I'm talking about the linebackers and the safeties down in the box, really with eye discipline, and then adding into the actual running game, not being used as a distraction or a decoy. These guys use the quarterback, and then everything that he can do from a running game, from a passing game, they use the quarterback and then the pure athleticism and technical ability of their offensive line to kind of dominate the line of scrimmage. So I wanted to get into a little bit of what the Green Bay Packers are doing. Just take a hard look at, are we utilizing the weapons? Are we doing anything that they're doing? Are we doing it at that level? Right. And then so you start looking at how we can grow. Is it a personnel thing? Is it a scheme thing? So let's start off with this. We go motion across with Tunyon. This is against Chicago Bears. And they had so many problems with these on different levels. So Christian Watson gets this play. I think everybody remembers the whole, we got student body right. We look at the toss look to AJ. We got two guys coming around on the toss crack. There's only one man trying to chase down Christian Watson. They're in man coverage at this point. And so it's easy for Sammy Watkins up on the top of the screen to figure out who to block. And because his guy's going to follow him, obviously he doesn't even know until right now. Sammy Watkins' defender didn't even know that Christian Watson had the ball. This is one of the worst dives into the end zone I've ever seen, but it was a great run. Now we look at another one against the Patriots. And you see here at the handoff, at the mesh point, they've rotated across over the top. So the corner came up, pushed the other safety to deal with Watson. You have down here at the bottom, defender man coverage. There's not a good communication. This is a great call. And then the speed obviously outflanks the defense. Christian Watson's got a real unique ability to do that. Those are two of the best runs of the year. I don't know what that says about our team necessarily. That's not a bad thing, but we do want to add in, I think, with some of these running backs. So now we got our pony look in the backfield. We get AJ out, and it's a miscommunication by the Bills. The Bills did give up. I know they had a great, I think they had a great yards per carry early in the season. They ran a lot of 6 in the box, and guys started moving the ball a little bit more on them because of that. They had some communication errors, not only in this game, but also you saw obviously against the Bengals in the divisional round. Where you see here the safety and the safety and the inside. That's not a linebacker. I think that's the nickel corner, number 7. Yeah, that's the nickel corner. But they're both going out and trying to figure out AJ. We give on the cross motion, leading by DeGuara. And these are things that we're good at. So we got everybody going one way. We put Tremaine Edmonds, in an advantageous position. And we just run a very simple stutter counterplay. That's something that we can do well. Down block, kick out. We have some athletic players. I think DeGuara's game for it. Now you see Christian Watson coming in motion and using speed. I think this is an important part because this is something that other teams are doing at a really high level. Using speed to disrupt the eyes and cheat the eyes of the defense. You see this is against the New England Patriots, who have obviously a fantastic defense, well coached. But you see what happens to number 30 here. We bring in Tunyon. And you see what happens because of the speed of Christian Watson right here. He hesitates. And because he hesitates, we're actually going to get Newman, number 70, all the way over on Myers, double, and then he has nowhere to go to because they're going man across. The play side linebacker ran into JRJ. This is early in the season where they hadn't switched positions yet. And now Royce is actually going to get in the way of Aaron Jones because he has to come all the way back because 30 didn't flow fast enough. That's just a consequence of what Christian Watson can do and how that eye discipline is so important. I can't stress this enough. The speed of which he's going past makes a huge difference. We look at again, they go in motion. They're not really sure what to do. So instead of going with or rotating, he fires his gun here, comes downhill, misses Aaron Jones. Aaron's out the gate. Is a great cut here. We'll see this from the sideline. So we're not going to see that from the side. I think I have it here. The exact same play happens later in the season. They come across. Now they switch and go man across. The defensive end is going to rock. He did that in the first play. Everybody's moving. They're chasing across. And now they've given them the edge because this defensive end, I think I showed this one in the end zone. Turns into an easy run for A.J. Dillon, racing the safety. So what I mean by coming down is 55 here, and this happened to Robert Quinn in the first look. The Chicago Bears and the Packers probably saw this earlier. It's amazing this exact play worked the exact way twice. The only difference being that the second time here, they decided to chase Christian Watson across man coverage. Okay, but you see 55 darts inside. Easy to gum this up, get to the second level. Up, second level, out the gate. Safety's not going to make that play. This is the first one. I don't know how I got these messed up, but this is off the first look. We're going to see Watson come across here. And the handoff, you see again. I think this is Quinn before he got traded. He goes inside. Yep. Easy. So they give him the edge. And now 6 misses in the hole. Bad lane discipline. I don't know if he was just firing his gap. It's odd that 55 came inside on the second one. It's odd that 94 came inside here, considering that how far away from kind of the C gap that 6 comes here. But they miss it. Aaron Jones makes it happen. These are big plays. These are big opportunities. And again, they're using Christian Watson in a very unique way, right? They're motioning him across and they're forcing the defense because he can move so fast, and the threat of the handoff is there. And so when people say, "Oh, why?" Like for example, in the last, why did we run the ball, 4 times and give those guys? Well, if you're looking at the statistics, if you're watching the film, and I complained about it too because you don't want to give. It's because Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon weren't getting enough reps. But if you give 4 reps, and I think they gave a couple to Allen Lazard, I think they gave maybe 2 to Christian Watson. But if you give a couple to Allen Lazard, you give them to Christian Watson, what they're doing is the threat of that ghost look. We used to run 94 ghost. You'd bring the guy over the top instead of right across the backside of the center. Talk about the wide receiver, and you'd call it 94 ghost, 95 ghost. You'd fake that around handoff, and it always messes with the second level defenders. And so that's why they're doing this here. The difference between this and what maybe the Niners are doing, and maybe the Eagles, but definitely the Niners, is in these different situations, they will actually add that speed motion into the blocking scheme. We don't do that yet. That would be something to be great to add on to, because now you can go play side. Just a real simple lead play here. And when you start talking about why did things work, why did different plays work during the year? We motion out. You're really looking at 12 personnel with DeGuara playing the fullback in the backfield. And if you look at the numbers here, if you can't run the ball with 6 men in the box and you have a lead back, then you can't run the football, period. It literally couldn't be easier. DeGuara doesn't have anybody except for he just has anybody who's in the B gap. So JRJ just gets a free help here. So we go through. DeGuara's leading on that play side backer, but really he's just going to take the 3 technique back to that play side backer. That's how they scheme this up. It's a great scheme. We have a good cut here on the backside, even though Yosh doesn't do a good job on Von Miller. Still have a great play, great run by AJ, right? So 6 in the box. A lot of these big plays are going to be 6 in the box plays. That's just how the NFL defenses are now. Or if we have like 8 or 9 guys in the box, they're only going to have 7. And so it's hard because I think people are the threat of the pass and the threat of Watson on the end arounds is kind of what really gets us moving right now. The question is, what else can you do as an offense to be more consistent in the run game, to have these kind of go-to plays that are a little more physical? You're adding guys into the blocking scheme off that fast motion. Because I don't think we're going to go to, well, first of all, we don't have the personnel from an offensive line standpoint to play like the Philadelphia Eagles, and Aaron Rodgers at this stage, or whoever it's going to be next year, isn't Jalen Hurts, isn't from a physical standpoint, he's not a 600-pound squatter. He's not going to take that kind of abuse. So we go speed motion again. And right here's what I'm talking about. Now, if you were looking at this from like the San Francisco 49ers standpoint, if that's really anybody on their team, but in particular, it could be Juszczyk or Kittle, that's what they do best. They'll actually add in right here. And they'll help, like Bakhtiari, they'll come in the inside of Bakhtiari and just wipe out that defensive end. You'd have a crack block coming from the bottom. I think that's Watson. He would crack on the linebacker, and really the motion man Lazard here would be responsible for the cornerback. And now you have this massive, massive gap, even with man motion or man coverage across. We don't do that. They just run him out of the play. And this is a big play, but again, you're just trying to look at, okay, what can we do a little bit better? Well, you can add people. You have somebody coming across already. They're already man marked. The defenders are already going to be out of position right here, right? You already have a guy running across. That guy's out of that means the guy's out of the count. The offensive line is not going to account for that person. So right now, you could have Bakhtiari running off this. Lazard could be running right through his inside shoulder. Elton Jenkins and Myers could be running right double team off the ball to 43. JRJ can be up to the linebacker. Yash has the tough cutoff on Ndamukong Suh right there on the backside, but everything else is really easy here. Um, if you want to learn how to run that kind of scheme. And this is something that Alan Lazard certainly could do and could do very, very well. Backside here, you want to just note that I think Cobb does a great job of coming in and making that key block there. It's not very technical, but you got to stick your nose in there somehow. So I think this is against the Jets. And this is the first time you see us pull. It's the first time you see kind of that toss crack look. It was successful later in the year. And again, we're kind of going by did plays get 15 yards or more? Just want to see from an explosive standpoint. This isn't necessarily the most efficient stuff. This is the stuff that we can kind of take a look at and start thinking about, okay, how can we get more of these, right? So schematically, this play works because Mercedes Lewis takes 2. So he crack blocks, and then he forces the underneath by the linebacker there. We'll see it from the end zone. So I'm not saying this is necessarily a one-off because you can certainly get yards here. But when you watch 89, he does something special, as he does more often than not during the running plays, but he ends up taking 2. So this kind of gets gummed up by everybody else, but he knocks down 1. That guy's gone. And now he gets up on the second level right here, has to go underneath. AJ makes a great play, runs through it. Those plays are possible because we do have athletic linemen that can get out in space. And whenever, we talked about it before, whenever you get a lineman out in space, you think about a 300-pound bowling ball that a defensive back, safety, cornerback, outside linebacker, they have to avoid. They have to make a business decision. Am I going to avoid? Am I going to try to fight through? But they still have to go find Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Like, it's not just like these people are, you don't just float right through them. You have to do something physical to get around them or through them. And then you also have to find this running back who's running, 20 miles an hour full speed at 240 pounds or 205 pounds. So this is the first time in all of the explosive runs that I saw, that the first 20 or 30 that I looked at, where you have, this is Billy Davis, number 84. He comes down from the slot and he's actually going to crack on the move, right? So this is the first time we're not kind of stagnant blocking everybody. We're actually going in motion and using that motion and our momentum to now make it a more violent and viable block. So you see him come down here. I think this is on Jalen Phillips, number 15. Cheats a little bit, but we get JRJ around. And really, at this point, you're really just looking at the speed of Aaron Jones. But the point I wanted to make here is that, for me, this kind of stuff is really, really advantageous because he does this once. The next time this guy comes down, Jalen Phillips isn't thinking about rushing on your right tackle anymore. He's thinking about getting cracked. He's going to step out. It's going to be a little less aggressive. So now if you want to run, because you're under center, if you want to run under center play action, if you want to run a fake toss out and you want to go flat to Tunyon over here, there's just so much you can run this guy across, and you can run a corner route with Tunyon. You can run a crosser with Billy Davis. Like, you have so much to do because you can set those linebackers up, but you have so much to do when you just run these motions, because that momentum that he brings in, the speed and the eye discipline that it takes for the second level linebackers, and now the player at the line of scrimmage who's getting cracked, it changes the psyche of the defense. The defense can schematically look at this and go, oh, we're going to treat this like X, Y, and Z. You get ear-holed one time and everything changes. You don't stick to your rules because now you got to at least look out the side of your helmet. Aaron Jones has a lot of talent, man. So here's another series that we do. And again, this is kind of old school. They've been doing this for a long time in Green Bay. Used to do this a lot in pass protection. They put the guy in the B gap, actually. But Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb did this a handful of times. But Alan Lazard will line up in the C gap and the B gap, and he'll insert. And right here, I think Trayvon Diggs is guarding a man. So they're just going to put him outside and make sure he cuts off the outside guy. We'll see this from the end zone. So as he walks over, you see Trayvon Diggs is going with him. So he knows he doesn't have to block Trayvon. He's just going to block the safety. Here's 6. Right? But this is a way that you can use an extra body and insert. Just for me, again, the speed of everything could be so much better than it is. You could move this guy over, identify that it's man, hit the gas when you get to Yash, And now you're speeding out of there, and you're creating a real confrontation. You could actually go through Mercedes Lewis's inside hip, take the defensive end, and go out to 6 and create a better space and be more helpful for the line and block on line. But it's for me, this is like where the future of blocking is. I think the San Francisco 49ers in particular have shown a template. Like, this stuff works. Great blocking and staying on your doubles here. This is as you think about who your running backs are going to be, and do you keep them both? What do you do? AJ just gets better as the year goes on, and this is where he just makes his money, right? Like, this safety should be making a play right here, and he just bounces off like a rag doll. It's a phenomenal run. But the Lions game, this is just a great effort by Aaron. But we have the insert again, and this is really a 5-man line, single linebacker look. They're in a nickel look, and they bring the safeties in. So it's like, if you're just going to have a safety in there, Alan Lazard can block a safety. In fact, watch the job that Lazard does on this. On number 5 here, hands inside, moves them off the line of scrimmage. Now 23 could and should make this play. And so you say, how do I improve? Like, how do I improve this for my offensive line? Well, you can be more aggressive on all of this if you have Lazard inserting from speed. So in other words, if you had Mercedes Lewis coming down and just washing down 5, and now you take out the defensive end, and now this downhill look, this is just an old kick play. Now 23 has the same kind of seam, but now he has something coming right across his face, and Alan Lazard that's blocking out down on the defensive end. And so you have that moment of hesitation, and maybe this is a cleaner cut by Aaron Jones. He doesn't get quite the shot on him, even though Aaron runs right through this tackle. So it's just those kind of things make a huge difference. And I think next year for the Green Bay Packers, as they're looking at their team and how are we going to improve in the run game. The first Vikings game, I believe, we go motion across the trips with Mercedes. And now we got another pull play. This is more of a kick. Nice job by Josh Myers there getting run over. It's fantastic. So we bring Mercedes across, and we're going to pull Zach Tom. I believe this is Zach Tom. We're going to pull Zach Tom, so we're going to go down, around here. And just from a number standpoint, we have it made, right? Actually, 51 walking up to Myers makes the job as easy as possible for him. We have numbers. This is only a 6 in the box look, and you have 6 blockers and 1 running back and a quarterback. So again, when you think about the National Football League right now and the way they view them, some teams are going to view, like the Niners are going to be looked at differently. The Eagles certainly get a ton of 6-man boxes because all they have outside those weapons and outside with Smith and AJ Brown and obviously Goddard. But I mean, so they can run a ton of spread. But with some teams, they're going to try to, hey, you're going to have to earn these running plays, and then that's when you get to take advantage of those matchups outside. I think as your wide receivers progress as well, you might see a little bit more of that. So you get down, around, and just, there you go, Josh. Big man falling. Anyways, that's how I think about this. Looks like I got a little something here. That's how I think about the running game. It's like we are doing some things well. Certainly, as you saw the beginning part of it, the biggest runs are coming as a consequence of Christian Watson's motion, because that speed, especially I think later in the year, we got him a couple of the handoffs, and that speed frustrates the second level defenders. There's some communication errors on the back end, especially when you go fast. I think the speed of the motion, the pre-snap speed, makes a huge difference. Now, for me, it's getting that guy, and I just don't know. It could be a DeGuara. I don't know. But getting that other guy, like when you look at the elite level guys in the league, when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, when you look at the San Francisco 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, those are the teams that have what I would just call innovative offenses. You might not like them, but they are innovating. They are really stressing defenses in a way that other teams just aren't, right? Like Cincinnati Bengals are stressing defenses with Joe Burrow. Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, they give you a bunch of different looks, and the Kansas City Chiefs, for example, understand that you can throw to Travis Kelce on the line of scrimmage and he can get 5 yards. You can throw to him on a 2-yard route and he can get 10 yards. Like, they understand that stuff, and Patrick Mahomes is very comfortable doing it. And they have a great offensive line, especially the interior of their offensive line. So they're able to run the ball with Pacheco. They're able to get great double teams. They're able to do all this stuff. They run a ton of all this motion, all this stuff we're talking about. They used to run even more with Tyreek Hill, but they run a ton of it. So this stuff isn't necessarily brand new, but it's not. You just don't see it when you look at the run game for the Green Bay Packers. You just don't see this, and you certainly don't see the speed motion with inserting into the blocking scheme. And I think the next step that they could take and become a more productive offense and just kind of have more freebie plays, because there are literally plays that are like plays off for the San Francisco 49ers. Where as good as Trent Williams is, like, he just is kind of running on a track because he's got inside help. The linebackers have no idea what's going on. It's a pleasure to watch. And we've showed it on Block Party before. So as they're thinking about it this year, it's like you're revisiting. They're going back right now. They're going through every single snap with a fine-tooth comb. What can we do better? Is it a scheme thing? Is it a personnel thing? I think it's a little bit of everything, but I think you can ask more of, particularly like Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard's a willing guy. You can ask him to put on 10 more pounds if you wanted to, and he could be your guy. Right? I'm sure he doesn't want to do it. My point is, like, you can insert him into some blocking schemes as well. Like, he's all for it as long as he's not the main blocker in that. He's inserting to be like a help. But you have guys on the team who can do it. It's going to make the system a lot better. And I think it really plays into what Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon do well, and certainly would help out Aaron Rodgers or Jordan, whoever's going to be the quarterback next year. So hope you enjoyed this block party. NFC Championship is going to be amazing. Two really, really good teams running unique offenses that have very, very unique skill sets. AFC Championship is going to be amazing as well, but we're focused on the NFC right now. So we'll see you next time. Thursday, we're going to do an On My Block podcast with Mon. Will be back for a preview. Until then, we'll talk to you later.